All right, y'all, grab your fire extinguishers. Today we're talking about Fahrenheit 451, Ray Bradbury's spicy little dystopian fever dream novel from 1953 that predicted modern life with the accuracy of a boomer ranting on Facebook. But he was right. He basically saw TikTok, Twitter, and cable news 70 years early and said, yeah, this is how the world ends. Not with a bang, not with a boom, but with a Kim Kardashian interview. This book is what happens when you mix book burning, state-sponsored idiocy, and an unhealthy relationship with your living room TV. In this world, books are illegal. And I'm not talking like, oh no, the PTA banned To Kill a Mockingbird again, illegal. I'm talking full-on SWAT team level, torch the house illegal. Got a bookshelf? Boom. Fire trucks roll up like it's modern warfare and you're getting drone striked with napalm. In this beautiful dystopian nightmare, society has collectively decided that books are the root of all evil. Why? Because books make people think. Thinking leads to opinions. Opinions lead to feelings. And feelings make people sad. We can't have that in this society. So naturally, the government solution is simple. Ban books, ban critical thought, and slap a pacifier in everyone's mouth in the form of a 75-inch flat-screen TV. It's basically the logical endpoint of turning the entire country into one massive Facebook comment section where no one has read past the headline. Our main character in Fahrenheit 451 is Guy Montag. Yes, that's his real name. Like, Guy. He's the literal equivalent of naming your main character in an RPG hero McSwordface. He's been a loyal arsonist for years, burning books and collecting paychecks like he's a cog in a well-oiled anti-thought machine. He's not just drinking the Kool-Aid, he's mainlining it through an IV. Montag's job is to find books, burn books, and never ask a question. He's like if a firefighter from the movie Backdraft had a baby with a censor from YouTube. And for a while, he loves it. He lights up pages of books like it's the 4th of July and he's grilling up Constitution burgers. But then one day he meets this girl Clarice. She's your usual 17-year-old weirdo neighborhood girl who's basically if Luna Lovegood dropped acid and became a philosopher. She asks you annoying things like, are you happy? And do you ever actually think about your life? She's that one friend who drops that existential question in the group chat at 2 a.m. and then goes to bed while everyone else has a crisis. And when she asks Montag these questions, his brain does the equivalent of the blue screen of death. Montag's brain, which hasn't probably been used since around 8th grade, starts doing something strange, thinking. And in this society, thinking is like owning a flip phone in 2025. A little bit sus and probably illegal. Meanwhile, over here, Montag's wife Mildred is the poster child of what happens when you feed someone TikTok, Alexa, and antidepressants. She's got wall-sized TVs that she refers to as her family, and she's got a seashell earpiece in her ear feeding her government noise 24/7 in the emotional depth of a Pop-Tart. Mildred even tries to unalive herself one night and doesn't even remember it. That's how numb everyone is. One day, Montag and his crew get called to a house full of books. Your standard operation here, break in, burn books, flex on free thought. But this time, the old lady who owns the book decides, nah, I'm going down with this ship, just like the orchestra in the Titanic. She lights the match herself. She's choosing to burn alive with her books rather than be without them. Montag's over here watching this happen and something inside of him just snaps. He's thinking to himself, wait a minute. If she's willing to die for this stuff, maybe it's not garbage. Suddenly, Montag finds himself stealing books from job sites and hiding them in his air vents like a teenager hiding his Playboy underneath his mattress. This man goes from patriotic pyromaniac to book hoarder faster than you can say unsubscribed from propaganda. At this point in time, Montag's life is in full crisis mode. The job he does doesn't make sense anymore. His marriage is a farce. Society looks fake and plastic. He's basically Neo after swallowing the red pill. But instead of kung fu and bullet dodging, he gets anxiety and betrayal. Now entering the chat is Faber. Faber is an English professor who's been lying low since having knowledge became a felony. Faber is that old Vietnam veteran you find sitting at a bar who has conspiracy theories about everything, but he's actually right. Our main guy, Montag, teams up with Faber to figure out how to bring down the system. Faber gives him a tiny earpiece, essentially like 1950s AirPod Pros, so he can whisper smart advice into Montag's ear like he's guiding a contestant on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Revolution Edition. Their master plan, you ask? Plant books in firemen's homes and frame them to destroy the public's trust in the institution. You know, basic psychological warfare. But Big Brother, sorry, in this story, it's Captain Beatty, He ain't stupid. Captain Beatty is Montag's boss, and he's basically the Darth Vader of this world. Super smart, super smug, and ironically well-read, because you can't control people unless you know how they think. He's like if Jordan Peterson joined the fire department. He quotes books nonstop, knows Montag is acting a little bit sus, and plays mind games harder than your ex does. He's the kind of guy who says books are dangerous while casually quoting Shakespeare, Sun Tzu, and Martin Luther King, kind of like a walking contradiction with a badge. He starts throwing shade at Montag, quoting Shakespeare, kind of like a guy who's read Hamlet once in jail and now thinks he's deep. Anyway, eventually Montag's little rebellion gets found out. And surprise, the fire truck's next stop is Montag's house. Here's the kicker. Beatty makes him burn his house down himself. It's kind of like forcing a drug dealer to sniff their last line of drugs right before you get arrested. And Montag, finally sick of all this bull, turns that flamethrower right on Beatty and torches him. He lights him up like the bonfire right before the TU Texas A&M game. Now Montag is on the run and the whole city's after him like he posted the wrong opinion on Twitter. Or X, or whatever they're calling it now. He's being chased by one mechanical hound. Now imagine one of those Boston Dynamics robots with a needle for a face that'll inject you with poison and drop you dead. And this whole thing turns into Grand Theft Auto Dystopia Edition. Montag escapes the city and meets a group of exiled intellectuals. These guys are basically book nerds who have memorized entire books to preserve them. Literal walking libraries. These guys are the living, breathing Kindles. It's kind of like if Wikipedia got nuked and rebuilt itself with Dungeons and Dragons players. Now each guy he meets, they're a different book. One is Moby Dick, the another one's Plato, and they kind of just wander around quoting them like NPCs at a Renaissance fair. These guys tell Montag, look, society over there, it's going to burn itself down eventually, and we'll be here when it does. Knowledge always survives, even if the world doesn't. And sure enough, that city gets obliterated by nukes. Because when you build a society on vibes, TV, and fear, eventually, someone pushes the wrong button, and the book ends with Montag walking into the new future, armed with nothing but hope and a head full of banned books. So what's the point of this story? Bradbury wasn't warning us about censorship. He was warning us about distraction, about letting convenience replace critical thinking, about trading uncomfortable truths for comfortable lies. Bradbury wasn't scared about censorship through violence. He was scared about censorship through apathy. He said people wouldn't need to be forced to stop reading. We'd just scroll ourselves into submission. He said that we become obsessed with comfort, entertainment, and not being offended. That we'd throw away truth and critical thinking like last year's iPhone. So Gen X, this is your reminder. The more you rely on screens to raise your kids, the more likely they are going to lose the ability to think critically. And Gen Z, this is your sign to close TikTok and open up a damn book and ask yourself, do I actually know what I believe? Or is the algorithm doing the thinking for me? Because in the end, Fahrenheit 451 isn't about fire. It's about freedom. The freedom to think, the freedom to learn, the freedom to be uncomfortable. And if we give that up, we won't need firemen to burn books. We'll just stop reading them ourselves. Until the next one, peace.